Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for our first Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 review. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into this. I want to know, what do you guys think about this first episode? I'm a little undecided. I think that these new women, most of them are going to be a trip, and I think their husbands are going to be as well. They're coming in kind of hot. It's giving, I'm a fan of the show. I watch from afar. Now I'm here and I'm going to make my mark. I feel like Britt and Kelly are purposely trying to find issue with Portia and Kenya. I think that they may have had a conversation with each other and said, we're going to go for these two because we know that they're going to have the most, eyes on them for this season. I don't know, but it's just, I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Let's go ahead and jump into it and we'll talk about it. So we start the episode with Portia. All right. Portia is talking about how great life was. She was enjoying Simon. She fell in love and everything was just grand until they had issues with trust and finances. She feels like people will think that this is her karma, but it's not. She says currently her and Simon are going through a divorce and she and her child are still in the home. Here's my issue. This was not Portia's first marriage, right? This isn't your first spin around the block. So, Portia, I get that you want us to feel badly for you, but you didn't quite think this through. And because you didn't think it through, I find a hard time feeling sorry for you, okay? Because this wasn't a first marriage for either one of you. I think that you thought it was going to be something it wasn't. And now here you are after quitting the show because you were getting married, after all the things that's transpired, and you're back up here and you're still trying to switch up the narrative a little bit, in my opinion. So we get to Shamia, all right? We see Shamia's intro. Shamia, in my opinion, is showing us what Real Housewives of Atlanta is supposed to be. It's what I'm seeing her show us is what I expect from these ladies, which is money, honey. Shamia is showing money. This lady has married her rich husband that is from Kenya, who made his money the legitimate way. He has his own HVAC business, and he manufactures and does all that other stuff, parts for major airports. I said, I love it. Legit money. Let them know right off the top, sis. Because when the production asked her that, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I can tell you how he makes his money," and she started going, I said, Shamia, you better let it be known, hon. You better let it be known. This is not Simon. He is not a scammer. He's earning his money the legit way. So we find out that they've been together for 10 years. They met at a club. Shamia takes a good 5 minutes to explain it, and production makes fun of her. But the basic gist of the story is that she went home with him, told him that she wasn't going to have relations with him, fell asleep, I guess, woke up to her stomach bubbling at 4 a.m., went to the bathroom, blew it up, and even though she did that, he still called her and asked her for another date. They've been together ever since. So they are living in their humongous $9 million mansion. The mansion has elevators, not an elevator, elevators, plural. She has an elevator in her closet. There's theaters, huge square footage, and a beautiful kitchen. She tells us that she's an actress, host, dancer, and singer, meaning she's just not Portia's sidekick, because a lot of people like to present it like she's just Portia's friend, but Shamia has her own connections outside of Portia. She is her own person with real life to share. So we find out that her family is there at her home. They're celebrating her birthday. She's going to have a big celebration later, but I think she said it was her birthday and it was Mother's Day. I'm not sure. Correct me down below if I'm wrong. She has two daughters, Shia and Shiloh. Shia is 5. Shiloh, she says, is 15 months at the time. Shiloh was born via surrogate prematurely, and she has had some difficulties. She talks about how she had major surgeries. It still seems like there are some setbacks there, but Shamia doesn't mention what it is. But she says, despite all that they went through with the hospital stays and everything else with their daughter Shiloh, she still has a desire to expand her family. Shamia lets us know that she's the connection to all of the ladies, and they tell like how she knows the different cast members. I don't really care about that. I personally love this for Shamia. I think that it's good that we're seeing that she too is going to be a central person, and that it's not just going to be Portia. I just feel like I'm interested to see how this affects her and Portia's dynamic, because Portia very much so is accustomed to getting the attention. She's not used to sharing it with her friend. So hopefully this doesn't, jack them up. So next we see Drew, right? Drew is outside playing with her kids. She is still not divorced. It is a mess. Despite not being included in the thumbnail, Kenya and Brooklyn come over and Drew fills her in on everything that's going on. Ralph is currently living in the basement. She doesn't go down there. She says that she does have to leave the home though every first, third, and fifth weekend. And he gets the house, I'm assuming, with the kids. I personally feel like that's a lot of back and forth that would get on my nerves, but that's what is in place for right now until they figure out everything. She says they keep their interactions focused on the children, and it's done through an app, but Ralph is petty even in the app. She's like, there's a lot of times where she herself wants to throw up some middle finger emojis and all those other things at him, but she reminds herself that the court can access this app and she doesn't want to be seen as that person, so let him basically do it to himself. Drew says that she did a lot of movies last year. She did like 5 of them, and this year she's focused on her music, and she's excited because she's going to be opening up for Tank in Chicago, which is a good look. Like if you're going to do something, Drew, this is how you should do it. Don't give us these fake stories. Give us the real, which is you're going to be opening up for Tank. Don't give me this fake stuff with Dennis, because I personally am not buying it, but you all tell me what you think. So they get on the subject of Dennis because, Drew talks about how Dennis is her partner. And in my opinion, it's giving storyline. I think Dennis and Drew are using each other. One minute, he's a producer for years. Then the next she's saying she doesn't know how long he's been producing. So which one is it? When she's saying Dennis, Kenya's like, Portia's Dennis? You talking about Portia's Dennis? And she's like, yeah. So she's like, well, how does Portia feel about that? And she claims that Dennis spoke with Portia. Portia is okay with it. Yeah, right. I don't buy that at all. I do not see Portia being okay with Dennis working with any of you all, because Portia still loves Dennis. Portia wanted Dennis. Dennis is the one that didn't really want to settle down with Portia. I think that Portia talks a good talk, but her actions and the way that she acted on that spinoff show that she had, and the way she seems to still try to claim ownership over Dennis, even though her and Dennis have supposedly been done for a little bit, even though they're trying to have a healthy co-parenting dynamic, it doesn't seem realistic to me, right? So she says, Drew does, that Dennis has become her angel on earth, that he's been there for her, that her being in the studio and him, letting her know, like, look, you got to be at the studio at this time, has helped her get out the bed and focus on that, through this whole divorce thing. So Kenya's like, okay, if he could do all of that for you, why couldn't he do that for Portia? And I forgot that she sang, and she did a song, and we get a little flashback of her little song or whatever. I think it's Flatline or something that it said. Anyways, end of that. So next we meet Kelly. Kelly is from B-More. She is going through a divorce as well. It has been going on for 2 years. She has 4 kids, a 17-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a set of twins that are 8. She is throwing a tea party for her 17-year-old daughter. It's her birthday, and this is what she wants. She gets 17 purses for her 17 years. Her and her ex are at odds. The ex is the father of her youngest 3. She says that their relationship got bad at the end. Police were called, and that's about as far as she wants to go into detail about it. It's sounding like there was some abuse there. I'm going to say maybe it was verbal. I'm not sure. I'm alleging this because she doesn't give details, but it's clear that she's not trying to say too much because she's probably trying to protect her kids. She said that the hardest thing at this point is that the three youngest ones cannot see their father, and some of them are taking it hard. I wonder what he said that made it so that the court said that he couldn't see them at all. So she has a restaurant. I can't remember what it's called, but it's after named after her grandmother. She has syrup and cookbooks and waffle mix and other things, and she's working on a mimosa mix, and she hopes that her divorce will be final within like the next few months. We go to Portia. Portia is on the way to her attorney's office, right? She's there to show us that she's the victim. That's my opinion, because I don't get it. Like, what are we doing here? Anyways, she says that she still hasn't dealt with her emotions yet. That yes, she did post on IG a few days before she filed, but that was just her fronting and stunting. Now, she doesn't say fronting and stunting. She says, the things that go on in the marital home should be private. But your husband showed even before you got married that the things that went on in your home wasn't going to be private. And I don't understand what that has to do with you posting. You could have kept that space private without feeling the need to like reveal that everything was hunky-dory. It comes off as if you're being fake. My opinion, tell me yours. So she says that she's filing the divorce to protect her assets, that there is a prenup in place, but she was unaware of how, the finances were. She was unaware of the notices of possible foreclosure. I don't know if she was saying like he got one or if like she wouldn't know even if they got one, but she mentioned foreclosure for some reason. Y'all, these discussions are imperative, people. Like, they are so important. You cannot go into a situation with a person where you are trying to merge your household and you do not have these type of discussions. I remember years ago when I got engaged and my aunt had a conversation with me. My auntie was like, what's his credit score? And I looked at her like, what? She was like, you're about to merge your life with his. What is your man's credit score? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, how are his finances? I said, I don't know. She says, how much money does he make? I could give her that. But she was like, Tisha, you need to know more, because what's yours is his and what's his is yours. And when you merge, his debt becomes your debt. You need to ask the right questions. And I feel like Portia did not ask the right questions. I don't think that Portia knew her man. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and have him, provide all this paperwork. Now, the way that this is with the type of money that these people have, I think that you all should show each other paperwork. But that's just my opinion. But I think that you should be aware of certain things and have certain discussions before you decide to take this route. But let's remind ourselves, this was her associate's friend, whatever she wants to call her man. And she was fooled. She saw smoke and mirrors. She thought that he was something that he wasn't. So I still don't feel sorry for Portia. I feel sorry for her child. I feel like her child hopefully won't be uprooted from that home after her mother already uprooted for her from one home and had her around this man that she really didn't know. Like, Portia, beautiful woman, but she moves too quickly. So she talks about not being able to film in her house, which is why I think we're seeing her film at her old house, which is the house that she gave to her mother. She talks about the lies that he told, like the green card and his scamming. I don't know about the green card situation. But the scamming thing isn't a secret. Like, Fallon, the ex, put that out there before you all even got engaged, I believe. So why are we acting so surprised by this whole thing, Portia? It's not checking for me. She said she has tried to reach out with him within the past few weeks and he isn't responding to her. And she gets a little choked up as she talks about how she's mourning a man that never was. I think it's all pointless to me that she's telling us this. You got with the man, he played his wife. It was a whole bunch of messy stuff. There was some overlap, whether she's willing to admit it or not. Then you see him come to the internet. You see how both the two of them were engaging with each other. You saw how he released images of ring cam footage and all those other things of her when she was supposedly stepping out on him. And yet you don't think that he would not do some of those same things to you. You don't think that he would still possibly speak negatively about you. You're not that special. There's so much that we didn't get to see in regards to her and Simon because you left. So now that you're back, you got to understand that you're going to hear our commentary because you left the show, in my opinion, to avoid it. Simon very much so wanted to be on TV. He was eager to be on TV. He was eager to put stuff on social media. So with that being said, why is it that once you get with him, you leave? My personal opinion is because I don't think Portia could take it. I really don't. So, Shamia, Kelly, and Britt go out to eat. We find out that Britt was a video vixen back in the day in high school. In my personal opinion, that is not a flex. She was over there talking about it and gloating and acting like it was something to brag about. I personally don't like it. I do not think that it's something that you should be so, oh yes, I was, when I was in high school, not only was I, video vixen, but I also was in men's magazines and stuff like that. Like, ma'am, do you not realize what you're saying, that that's child pee? Like, what? It's perverted to have grown men looking at a high school student as she poses in provocative ways. It didn't rub me right. So she met her husband by doing his insurance. She has recently been upgraded. Her ring has. It went from 7 carats to 10. And she mentions the ring a few times in the episode. I don't know. I'm not feeling her yet. Not yet. I'm kind of undecided, but at the same point I'm not feeling it. So some kind of way to get on Portia's divorce. Shamia talks about, her party and the divorce, and Britt thinks that, Portia will be out on top, while Kelly says that she thinks that Portia should have never stole that man. I said, oh, okay, Kelly. I like that you're saying what a lot of us are thinking, but you gotta chill just a little bit, because you coming across like you are ready to pounce on Portia, and you're saying these things to her really close friend. So of course Shamia is gonna kind of like stick up for her friend and also make sure that she tells her friend the things that you said. So Shamia tries to defend Portia, by saying like, look, you don't know the whole story. There, the dates are different than what you think, and you should get to know her and things of that nature. She's known Portia for years, so Shamia wants to protect her. I get it, Shamia, but if the roles were reversed, I wonder how Portia would handle this, because we've already seen instances, her and Phaedra way back when things were said about you and Portia didn't stick up for you. Portia does not show up for Shamia the way Shamia shows up for her. My opinion, tell me yours. So Kelly then talks about, the optics, and Britt does too, like the way it looks, and they just don't feel like it looks right. I agree, it doesn't. Britt then talks about, the rumors with Drew and Dennis and how they're supposedly seeing each other. And Kelly says, Dennis was in my DMs before. He was talking about how, I posted a picture of me in my bikini or whatever, and he said he couldn't believe that I have 4 kids. Well, I'm not trying to body shame or anything, but I think, and I could be wrong, I think that Kelly has had a lot of work. I don't know if it's been on her body, but it's definitely been on her face. I wish people would stop doing this to themselves, because she's a pretty girl, but when they get close up at certain angles, it's obvious that she did some stuff to her face. I hate when they do that Barbie look thing where their chin is kind of like this and they're not. I don't know. Let me stay in my lane, because I don't know what she did, and I don't want to put anything out there. So we'll say allegedly. I think she allegedly did some work. So Britt also apparently has been on a few dates with Dennis, because she talks about that she says she went on a date with Dennis, and in one date he gifted her with a diamond necklace or something like that. I mean, Candy did tell us that the man got around, so I am not surprised by any of this. So in the next scene, Shamia and Portia are at a strip club. I don't know why they had to do this at a strip club, but this is where they're at. She tells Portia about the text that she got from Simon, congratulating her for getting a peach. And she was like, yeah, bro, da 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 da. And Portia's like, oh, no, 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 no. No more bro. He's Simon. This is a difficult position to be in. I can't speak to what Shamia should call him, but I could understand why Portia would kind of want her to pull away from him, especially because right now they're not having an amicable divorce. It's getting messy. So then Shamia tells her about the conversation that she had with the ladies when she went out with them for lunch, and how Kelly said that she basically stole that lady's man. So Portia's like, okay, I can't believe that she's coming in like this. Like, this is how she wants to start. She's like, you know what? It's fine. I have no desire to get to know her. Shamia then talks about Dennis and Drew hanging out, and Portia's surprised by this, which means either Dennis lied to Drew or Drew is lying to us about what was said to Portia. It's not adding up. She says she thought Drew was a friend. She feels betrayed because Drew is working for her. Like, Drew is working for her hairline. You see images of Drew, posted up on social media advertising for Portia. So it's messy. Here's my thing. I get that Drew, as a friend, if they truly are friends, could have had a discussion with Portia and been like, Portia, are you uncomfortable if I work with Dennis? But at the same time, I can understand that Drew, in my opinion, isn't that close to Portia. Just because y'all had a phone conversation at the reunion where you told her don't worry about what the ladies have to say doesn't equate that you're friends. I think people often misuse that word. I also think that, does anybody really owe you any explanations when it comes to Dennis and you've moved on and you've since married? You can't have ownership over Dennis for the rest of his life. Like, you have a child with him. And could she have had a conversation? Yeah, but I also feel like this is storyline. But you guys tell me what you think. So we're back at Portia's mother's house. Portia is getting ready for Shamia's party. Her glam team is doing the thing. The fact that her glam team was there, she should have been ready on time, but I guess it takes a long time. I don't wear a whole bunch of makeup, so I don't know, but yeah. So Cynthia is on FaceTime with her. The subject of Drew comes up. Cynthia can't understand how Drew and Dennis are getting close. Like, she's real confused about it, to the point where at one point she gets all the way up in the phone while they're talking. Time for Shamia's party. So Kelly comes there early per Shamia's request. Shamia lets her know, like, look, I don't feel right not telling you that I told Portia what was said, what you said. And Kelly's like, yeah, I knew that you had to say something, because Portia, was throwing shade on, I don't know if it was a live or an interview or whatever, but when asked about the new girl, she threw a little shade. So Kelly's like, look, I went through infidelity in my marriage, and that's one of the reasons why I had an opinion about it. Cynthia arrives. Cynthia's walking through the place. Cynthia's like, okay, Shamia is wealthy. Like, she sent the invite, and the invite didn't even include the address. That's how wealthy she is. Cynthia, I like the dress. I hate your hair. Angela then comes in. This is another new person, and she says she's married to Charles Oakley. He played in the NBA for the Bulls and the Knicks, I think she said. They've been married for 8 years. She is the alpha female. Kelly talks to Cynthia about the statement that she made to Portia, and Cynthia's like, oh, what? Yeah, downloading all the information. They bond over the fact that they both have the same sign. Britt and Mike arrive, and he reminded her before she even came to the event that she needs to keep her drinking to a minimum. I don't know how I feel about her husband, you guys. We should see how this pans out. But something's off there, and I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything. It's just I don't know. I don't know what their dynamic is and why he felt the need to tell her to keep the drinking to the minimum. And I don't know. It's just yeah. Anyways, so Drew arrives and Cynthia embraces her. She tells her we need to talk. Kenya's there. Kenya says hello to everyone. Kenya compliments the new girls and says how beautiful they are, right? She compliments them and says how beautiful they are. Angela's wig is sliding off because of the heat or the new glue or whatever she used. Her husband tells her, like, you might want to go check that. The ladies go out to talk about everybody's relationship status. Britt lets the ladies know that this is her second ring. And Kenya is confused because she sees that it's just like the diamond. She doesn't see a wedding band. So Kenya's like, oh, is this your second marriage? And Britt acts like it's a weird question. Ma'am, that's not a weird question. You keep talking about this ring, like this is the best thing since sliced bread, and you're presenting with the ring. I get that you're talking about relationships, but what does your marriage status have to do with the ring? It could have been seen as shady, but the way that you presented it was odd. You don't have on a wedding band. So you then leaving that scene and trying to act like Kenya was shading you and going to your husband and saying that Kenya was being messy when she wasn't. I'm looking at you sideways now because we've seen Kenya be messy. We've seen what Kenya does when Kenya is being messy. And that wasn't Kenya being messy. She was asking a legitimate question. You said it's your second ring. Is this your second marriage? A simple thing says is no, it's not. I've been married for X amount of years to my loving husband. Boom. End of it. Then you got Kelly talking about something. Well, I think it was Kelly because I get confused with their confessionals. I think it was Kelly who was like, you shouldn't be talking about anybody's ring when at least she has one. Kelly, you're going through a divorce right now too. Just like Kenya is apparently still going through hers. None of y'all are in a position to talk anything about who has a ring and who doesn't have a ring. So Britt says she's not feeling the energy from Kenya. I don't know why. It's like you're going for Kenya. I get it. That's who you're going for. So she's complaining. I said it's not that deep. I feel like Britt wants to have a problem with Kenya is what I wrote in my notes. Then she's complaining about Kenya not hugging her, and Kenya's like, did I hug everybody? She was like, well, you hug so. She's like, well, Cynthia, I hug Cynthia. That's my best friend. Like, you know, she's my friend outside of here, basically, is what she was saying. So next thing we know, Shamia makes her entrance wearing blue. The ladies are sitting down talking, and she gets told to come outside, and she comes outside to a covered car. The thing is pulled off, and it's a Rolls Royce. That is a home. Understand, that is a home. These people got money. And I'm not hating on it. I love it. I feel like I personally was looking at that thing like home. But they got the money so they could do it. Portia gets there as she's being given this gift. She is late. And rather than standing with the rest of the friends, Portia walks up and is like interrupting the moment to make it be known that she's there. She apologizes for being late and blames it on traffic. Portia, like Shamia said when she sang to the left, get to the left, girl. Read the outside, read the room. See that at this moment she just got presented with this and she's basking in it with the man who gave it to her. It's not a party of 3, it's a party of 2. So the ladies go back in. Shamia goes to change. Portia goes to follow her to make excuses. And Shamia really doesn't want to talk about it. Like, Shamia is a little bothered that she's late, but Shamia is not going to let it go there. So the comment is made about Portia stealing men again as the ladies sit. And Kenya gets caught up on it. Then Portia ends up coming downstairs and sitting down, and she jumps right into it, and she's like, Kelly says, I got a question. Why did you steal that lady's man? I said, okay, Kelly, you're showing up, but you're showing out and you're coming in a little too heavy. Like, you haven't even really met Portia. You said hello. She said hello to everybody, gave everybody hugs, and that's the extent to it. So, if this were the real world and I wasn't on television and you came at me like that, even though I don't agree with how Portia's handled this situation, I would feel away too. So Portia gets mad and it's like, I don't know you, I don't have, I'm not answering anything, for you. As far as I'm concerned, you're a perfect stranger. And they go back and forth at it a little bit. Britt tries to speak up and be like, she's a nice girl, Kelly means no harm and da 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 da, girl, whatever. Kelly wanted something from Portia and Portia responded back to her. So Shamia and the girls go upstairs. They go and sit in Shamia's upstairs living room, because that's what I'm calling it. It's a living room. Like, it's a huge room. Her upstairs living room area is probably bigger than some of our houses and apartments. Like, it's massive. It looks beautiful. So Shamia, then the subject of Drew's party comes up, and Drew's like, it was a surprise. I didn't invite anyone. My assistant, did it. My assistant asked me for the numbers. If your assistant asked you for the numbers, how was it a surprise? Like, what did you think the numbers were for? Anyways, Portia, we find out, got an invite, and apparently the invite came from Dennis. Dennis sent out the invite. I'm saying, wait, what? So Shamia's like, I got a question. Are you and Dennis a thing? And that's how it ends. As I said earlier, I'm not sure how I feel about the episode. I think that they have potential, but I don't want them to get stuck in these unnecessary beefs. If I'm completely honest, I'm sad that Kenya did whatever Kenya did, that they have cut her out the way that they have. She is barely, like, it seems like they only kept her in for little parts. I thought that they were going to at least allow her to be whatever she was and do whatever she was up until the point of whatever happened. But apparently they're not. We're gonna get limited footage of Kenya, and I'm sad because even though Kenya gets on my nerves sometimes, Kenya is a good chuckle. You guys, let me know what you thought about this episode. Like the video as it helps me get in the algorithm. Until next time.